today we're going to do a quiz review for your quiz tomorrow. So the first thing, your quiz is going to be on 7.5, 8.1, and 8.2. So a review of 7.5, we're going to review rational exponents and radicals. So when we do this, you're going to be taking the root of a number. So basically the form to do this, you're going to see something. You're going to see a radical sign. You're going to see a number on the outside and a number underneath the radical sign. The way to undo this is going to be whatever that number is, so a to the power of 1 divided by whatever number is on the outside. When we do that, that is our final answer. I know some of you guys were getting in your homework, you were getting an answer and then multiplying it or raising that number back to this, whatever number was on the outside of that square root or the radical sign. We don't need to do that. You just do whatever number is on the underneath here and raise it to the 1 over whatever our number on the outside was. And then that is our final answer. So let's practice. We're looking for the cubed root of 729. So when we do this, we're going to do 729 to the 1/3 power, because we're taking what's underneath here, we're going to take that out and we're going to raise it to 1 over whatever this number is here. So if we were using our calculator, we would do 729 to the power of 1 divided by 3. When we do that, our final answer is 9. Let's try this one. The 4th root of 243. Just rewrote it. So now we're pulling 243 out. So we did that. And we're going to raise it to the 1 over 4th power. When we do that, we get a decimal. And we're going to round it to the nearest hundredth. So that's 2 decimal places. And we get 3.95. In 8.1, we were adding and subtracting polynomials. So let's review those. So we had 2a cubed b plus 4a cubed b. So when we do this, when at the beginning of the year we did something called combining like terms. That's essentially all we're doing here is we're just combining our like terms. We're not going to do anything with these exponents or with these bases. They're going to always stay the same when we're adding and subtracting. It's the numbers in front that's what we're combining. So we have to just pay attention that they both have the same exponents and the same bases. Since they're both base a cubed b, we can combine the 4 and the 2. 4 plus 2 gives us 6, and our final answer is 6a cubed b. So next thing we went over was writing polynomials in standard form. What was standard form? That means our exponents go from greatest to least. So we have 15x minus x to the 3rd plus 3. That's not in standard form because this is power 1, this is power 3, and then numbers, just a number is always going to come last. So that's in the correct spot, but the 15x and the minus x cubed, they're not in the right spot. So we got to rearrange them. So we're not going to be adding x cubed to bring it over here. You're just simply going to move it, like switch spots. So our final answer would be negative x3 plus 15x plus 3. Remember, if there's no sign in front, it's understood to be positive. Because there's a negative sign here, it's a negative. So let's simplify. Now we're going to be adding and subtracting polynomials. So in the first set of parentheses, I have negative 4s to the power of 3 plus 2s minus 3. And then it's going to be plus, and the second set of parentheses is negative 2s squared plus s plus 7. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to write this all out without the parentheses around them. When it's plus, we don't have to worry about distributing that negative to each and every term in that second set of parentheses. So we wouldn't have to change the symbols because it's a plus. So I go ahead and I rewrite them. And then what I like to do is I like to circle each term with this sign that's in front, so I know if it's positive, I know if it's negative. So I went ahead and did that. Now I'm just going to start combining my like terms. On a quiz or a test, I'd like you guys to do this so that way it helps me to understand that I know you guys are understanding this. So we look, okay, what can I combine for negative 4s3 with? Are there any s to the power of 3's? No, so I just rewrite negative 4s3. Now I go ahead and cross that out so I can't reuse it. What comes next? Plus 2s. Well, is there anything just s here that I can combine it with? Yeah, there's just a plus s, so 2s plus s gives me 3s, and I go ahead and cross out 2s and 3s. Now we get to minus 3. What can I combine minus 3 with? Well, I could do it. Minus 3 plus 7 gives me plus 4. And I go ahead and cross out minus 3 and plus 7. And I'm left with minus 2s squared. There's nothing left to combine it with, so I just rewrite that. And now I got to just double check, is this in standard form? No, because we have minus 4s3 plus 3s, and then at the end I have minus 2s squared. So I just got to rearrange it to make sure it's in standard form. And when I do that, we're left with negative 4s3 minus 2s squared plus 3s plus 4. Now this is your final answer. Now let's simplify. 6d minus 10d to the third plus 3d squared minus, and in parentheses, 5d cubed plus 3d minus 4. Now what I got to do here, since we're working with a negative sign, is I got to distribute, or since we're subtracting, I got to distribute the subtraction sign to each and every term inside that second set of parentheses. So I'm changing the signs of each of these terms. So I'm left with 6d minus 10d cubed plus 3d squared, because none of this in the first set changes, it's just that second set, minus 5d cubed minus 3d plus 4. Now I go ahead and circle each of my terms with the sign that's in front of them. Okay, now I could just start combining. So we're going to start, we see 6d first. Is there anything I can combine 6d with? Yep, I have a minus 3d here. So 6d minus 3d gives me 3d, and I go ahead and cross those two out so I know not to use them again. Then we have negative 10d cubed. Can I combine negative 10d cubed with anything? I have a minus 5d cubed over here, so negative 10 minus 5 gives me negative 15d cubed. Cross those out so we don't use them again. And then I'm left with 3d squared. Can I combine that with anything? No, so I just rewrite plus 3d squared. Cross it out, no, not to use it again. And we're left with plus 4, nothing to combine plus 4 with. So we just put that. And then we look at this. Can this be our final answer? No, why not? Because they're not in standard form. Our exponents are going from greatest to least. So we just got to rearrange them. So when we do that, we get negative 15d to the third plus 3d squared plus 3d plus 4. And now this is our final answer. This right here is like 95% of the way to the final answer. The only reason it's not your final answer is because it's not in standard form. So in 8.2, we did multiplying and factoring. So let's simplify this. The way to do that is to distribute this 4x cubed to each and every term inside that parentheses. So we're going to do 4x cubed times 2x squared, and then 4x cubed times negative 3x, and 4x cubed times 5. So I just went ahead and just demonstrated what I did for that. So remember, when we do these, when we multiply any of the numbers in front. And then for the exponents, as long as they have the same variable, as long as they're both x's, we go ahead and add the exponents. So 4 times 2 gives us 8, and 3 plus 5, or 3 plus 2 gives us 5. So 4x to the third times 2x squared gives me 8x to the fifth. Then we're going to go ahead and multiply 4x third times negative 3x. So we do 4 times negative 3, and then x to the 3 plus 4. 4 times negative 3 gives us negative 12. 3 plus 1 gives us 4. So we write now negative 12 x to the fourth. And then we go ahead and do 4x cubed times 5. So 4 times 5. And then since there's no variable here, it's just x3. 4 times 5 gives us 20. And then we drop down the x3. So our final answer is 8x to the fifth minus 12x4 plus 20x3. Now let's try this one. N plus 7 times negative 5n. Now this one, some of you, I think I gave one of these to you for your homework. What you guys ended up doing was you thought this was a minus 5. Now I could put the number we're multiplying by in front of the parentheses or after the parentheses. So here I put it after. So all we got to do now is distribute backwards instead of distributing to the right. Now we're going to go back to the left. So it's going to be negative 5n times 7 and negative 5n times n. Negative 5n times 7. So negative 5 times 7 gives me negative 35. And then we just rewrite that n. So we're left with negative 35n. And then we're going to do negative 5n times n. So negative 5 times 1 times n to the 1 plus 1. So we're left with negative 5n squared. Now we got to remember this isn't in standard form. So we got to put it in standard form. And our final answer would be negative 5n squared minus 35n. We're going to be finding the greatest common factor of the terms of the polynomial. 8a to the fourth plus 24a to the third minus 40a squared. Remember I told you on a quiz or a test, this is how I want you guys to do it. So we're going to break down and find the factors for each of these numbers. So how do we get 8? 1 times 8. How do we get 8 to the fourth? A times a 4 times. How do we get 24? 3 times 8. And then how do we get a to the third? A times a times a. And how do we get 40a squared? 5 times 8 and 8 times a. So now we're going to look. What's our greatest common factor in all of these? 8 is in each of them. And then we have a's in each, but what's the greatest number of a's we have? 2, because we can't do more than 2 because this one has 3, this one has 4, but this one down here only has 2. So our greatest common factor is 8 times a times a. So our greatest common factor is 8a squared. So now let's factor this one out. First things first, we got to find our greatest common factor, and then we pull that out, write that on the outside of parentheses, and then work our way backwards. So how do we get 18s squared? 2 times 9, and then s squared is s times s. 54 is 9 times 6. So our greatest common factor here is 9, because we look what's in common between both, and it's a 9. So greatest common factors are 9. Cross those out, write 9, and open a parenthesis, and then we work our way backwards. We have 2 and 2 s's, so it's 2s to the power of 2. And then remember I told you work your way next, so it's a plus sign. So plus, what do we have left here? 6. So our final answer is 9 times 2s squared plus 6. let's factor this. 10x squared plus 50x minus 25. How do we get 10x squared? 2 times 5 times x times x. How do we get 50x? 10 times 5 times x. And how do we get 25? 5 times 5. So what's our greatest common factor here? Our GCF is 5 because each term has a 5 in it. So we go ahead and cross out the 5s. Now to factor, I write a 5 and open up my parenthesis, and now I work back. So we have 2, and I have what? X squared, so 2x squared. And then I write the plus sign, plus 10x. And then minus, and what do I have left? 5, so minus 5. So my final answer is 5 times 2x squared plus 10x minus 5. And as always, here is our pet of the day. So our pet of the day today is Catherine's dog. This is Annie. Annie just turned 10 about 2 months ago. Annie likes milk bones and she loves sleeping. Annie's not so energetic, but she'll do almost anything for a treat. So remember, guys, tomorrow is your quiz. If you have any questions about your quiz or any questions for anything that's going to be on the quiz, please be sure to send me an email as soon as possible. Good luck tomorrow, guys.